Hey everyone, I'm working from home today, so I thought I'd make a video about how to make pots out of coils. It's a very versatile method of construction, and you can really make any form out of coils. The pot that I'm going to be making is pretty basic, but you can use this same technique to make much larger and more complicated pieces as well.
These are the tools that I'm going to use for the project today. You don't need all of these tools to do this, but the needle tool in particular is necessary, and a metal rib is very helpful. I'm going to start by making a slab for the base. I'm not going to make this a very exact thickness or size. I'm just going to roll it out with a rolling pin, and then I'm going to cut out a shape. It doesn't have to be very thick because it's not going to be a very large pot. I'm also not rolling all the way to the end. I stop about an inch from the end whenever I'm rolling, and that helps to keep the edges from getting too thin. Now I'm smoothing the slab out with a metal rib, and this just helps to strengthen the clay. When you roll it out with the rolling pin, it stretches it, and it actually makes it weaker. So when you go back in with the rib to smooth it out, you're actually recompressing all of those clay particles to make them stronger. I'm starting to make a coil here by turning the clay and squeezing it with my hand before I roll it out on the board. I want these coils to be about the thickness of my thumb. For the base, I'm cutting out an oval shape in the slab, and I'm not trying to make it exactly symmetrical or anything like that. I want this to look hand-built, so I'm not paying too much attention to making it perfect. Where I attach the first coil, I'm making sure to slip and score the attachment area. I won't do this as much when I'm building the coils up, but for when I start on the base, I like to do this just to make sure that there's a really good bond between the coil and the slab. When I attach the first coil to the base, I'm pressing down with my index finger and thumb so that when I'm pressing, the bottom is wide but the top is almost coming to a point. That'll help the next coil attach. I'm using some very soft clay, so I don't have to be as particular about slipping and scoring between every layer. I'm making sure that I'm pressing down with my index finger and my thumb on both sides so that top coil sort of wraps around the bottom coil. Once I've done a few layers, I then start to pinch the pot upward to make it thinner. So to get some height and some more width out of it, I can pinch it between my thumbs and my index fingers. With my left hand as a support on the inside of the pot, I can use the metal rib to blend and compress the outside and make sure that all of those coils are really blended together well. I can then do the same thing on the inside, using my left hand on the outside of the pot now, and this will make the opening of the pot wider because I'm pressing the clay outward. At this point, I decided the pot might look more interesting if I make it into a rectangle at the top. So I just kind of block it out by pushing the angles together with both of my hands until I feel like it looks more or less symmetrical. Using a square piece of wood and the wire tool, I can cut the top level. From the inside, I use my middle finger to push up and out to make the angles of the pot more distinct. Then from the outside, I push my fingers together at each angle to make a ridge. I use the rib again to push out the sections in between the ridges to make the form a little more voluptuous. I can then make the ridges look a little more even if I get them wet and then bring my index fingers up both sides of them. I can do the same thing on the top by getting my thumb and index finger wet and then compressing the rim back and forth. To clean up the bottom, I flip the pot over on a piece of foam. I let the pot dry a little bit, so now it's more of a cheddar cheese consistency. This allows me to scrape clay away from the bottom while not warping the form. I want to fill in these seams on the inside. This is just personal preference. I do this by adding some slip and then scoring each one of the seams. Then I press a small coil into each of the seams. And now I'm just going to use the rubber rib to blend that coil in since it's still pretty wet. Since I let the pot set up and get dry so I could work on it, and I added that coil which was a lot softer than the pot was, just because I want to make sure there's no cracking, I like to go back over with the serrated rib and score the surface a lot and really make sure that they're blending together and that that soft coil isn't just sitting on top of the drier pot. Even though the pot's relatively wet, it's still a lot drier than the coil I just added. So I scratch up everywhere where they're attached and then go back over and smooth it again, just to really make sure they're bonded well. Now I'm using a fine sponge to smooth out the bottom. I've decided the pot will be a little more interesting if I put some feet on it. I cut out 5 equal lengths of clay from the coil to make the feet, and I taper the end a little bit. The 5th one is just an extra in case I mess one of them up. Now I'm going to make the attachment area larger by smacking it on the table. When I go to attach the feet, I'm using a much more aggressive scoring tool this time because I really want to make sure they have a good bond together. And I'm using my wire tool to just cut away some of the ridge so that I know that they're attaching on a larger surface area. I'm pressing in with my fingertips just to give a little bit of extra detail at the bottom, but this also helps to force that slip into every part of the seam, which will make it stronger. Now I'm going to use a clean brush to clean up those seams. I'm lightly pressing on the feet with a board to make them level. I was debating whether or not I wanted to put handles on this pot, but I decided that instead I just wanted to put some little details on the corners. So I cut out some more sections similar to the way I did with the feet, but a little bit smaller, and I'm just going to make a little decoration for each corner. I start by rolling all the sections into balls. And then I roll one side of them back and forth between my hands to taper one edge. I'm applying these a lot like I did the feet, and I'm just pressing them with my fingertips to really make sure they're bonded well, but also to leave a faint pattern. I'm going to let the piece sit like this until it's completely dry, and then I'll level the feet one more time.
In the next video, I'm going to be glazing and firing the pot so you can get a good idea of the entire process. You can find more videos on georgeorr.org or on my YouTube channel. And if you're interested in seeing some of my work, you can look over on charliemabry.com. You can find those links in the description, and thanks for watching.